And we're recording. Hi, Steve Locke here. I'm the creative director of the Winnipeg Poetry Slam. And I'm recording this video on my MacBook using, what is it? iMovie or something. As you can tell, I'm not too up on the technology and video recording. But hopefully you'll bear with me in this video, which has the purpose of a couple things. And one is to talk with you about what's going on in the upcoming semifinals next month in May, and even what's coming up in finals in June. And also to do the bout draw for both semifinal bouts. So I've got an agenda here. I'll be reading from this and then discussing some things, and then afterwards we'll be doing the bout draw. And I've got everyone's names in this mixing bowl here that I've borrowed from my partner's cupboard, and we'll be figuring out which poets will be competing in which semifinal bouts. Okay, so we're going with that. But a few things to talk about first, and these are some of the things that if you're new to semifinal competition, if you're new to the slam this year, that you might be asking about sort of what to expect in the semifinals. So hopefully I'll cover everything here, but of course, if there's any questions, if there's anything I've missed, if you need any clarification, then I'm of course open to your comments, to your concerns, as well as everyone else on the organizational team. So that's Mike Johnston, that's Don Knight, that's Graham Natchuk, and Chimwemwe. So if you have any questions, feel free to come forward and ask us about that so we can help you understand what's going on for semifinals. So, talk about the draw a little bit. So there's 16 poets, the top 16 ranked poets from regular season competition. And I've put all your names into this mixing bowl here, and I'll be drawing names at random with both the intention to draw the first 8 names. The first 8 names, mind you, will be the poets who compete in the first semifinal bout, which takes place on Wednesday, May the 13th at the Handsome Daughter. Doors will open at 6:30 and the slam will start at 7:30. And it's a little bit earlier than what we're used to in the past, but we're trying out a new venue there at the Handsome Daughter at 61 Sherbrooke here in West Broadway, and we're seeing how that goes for us, and if it works out really well, then we're going to continue slamming there. Now, the latter 8 poets that will be remaining in my mixing bowl here, they will be the poets who will be competing at bout number 2 at the same venue, same time, but a week later, Wednesday, May the 20th. So we'll get to that in a minute, just so that's out of the way first, okay? So the structure of semifinals. So like I've said, there's 16 poets. There will be 8 poets per semifinal bout. The top 4 ranked poets from each bout at the end of semifinals will move on to finals. There's going to be 2 rounds of competition, full rounds. There's going to be no elimination. So all 8 poets for each semifinal bout, you'll get 2 poems to slam and compete with, and see how that contributes to the rankings at the end. Scores will be cumulative between rounds. So out of a possible 30 in round 1, and again out of a possible 30 in round 2 for a combination of a possible score out of 60. So if you get all 10s in round 1 and round 2, you might get a 60, and we kind of work our way down from there. The order of poets. At each bout, the names will be drawn at random from like a vessel of some kind, like we usually do, and we'll progress from there for the first round, so in whatever order everyone gets drawn in. In the second round, we're going to keep that order, but we're going to flip it so that the poet who went last in the first round will go first in the second round. Okay, and that'll be the same between both semifinal bouts, number 1 and number 2. Okay, moving on to the finals. This will take place in June, and we'll still get some details out to you about what venue we've chosen for you, but it's going to be pretty cool. It's going to be maybe a place you haven't been to yet, a really cool venue in Winnipeg here, and it's going to be an excellent place to perform from with lots of people out in the audience there clapping and snapping and cheering at you. So that's it's always a really excellent time to be had at finals, and it's always the best show of the year. And we'll be announcing. Well, I'll tell you the features in a little bit. So just hang on, hold on to your pants there. All right. So that's right. The top 4 poets from semifinal bout 1 and the top 4 poets from semifinal bout 2 will make up those who compete in finals. So there'll be 8 total. The structure will be the same as the semifinal bouts in finals. So no elimination, 2 rounds, possible score out of 60 with cumulative scores between both rounds. Names will be drawn at random, and in the second round, the first poet the poet who went last in the first round will go first in the second round. So just the same as semifinals. Some people have been asking about if you're allowed to repeat poems throughout the season and in semifinals and finals. Now I'll try my best to make this absolutely clear because it kind of gets confusing. All right, so you have some poems from the regular season that are tried and tested and true. Some you've been working on, some kind of hit the mark. So those are like your confidence poems. Excellent. Use those. Use those in semifinals or in finals. Okay, but you can't use the same poems at semifinals that you use in finals, if that makes sense. So regular season poems, good to use in semifinals. You can use those poems in finals, but not between semifinals and finals. And if that isn't clear to you, we'll try our best to use a different sort of language or maybe even a diagram or something like that. And feel free to ask for any clarification, any questions you have, of course. Okay, I think that covers that. Let's move on. Oh yes, and a thing that that's very important here in the Winnipeg Poetry Slam and the Winnipeg Poetry Project is, of course, our code of honor. And as an extension, something that will come into effect for people who are intending on, making the most out of competition in semifinals and finals and being a part of the Poetry Slam team, something to talk about here is the Winnipeg Poetry Slam team agreement. And that's an extension of the Code of Honor. So a lot of the stuff you might see repeated in those 2 documents. And we'll talk about them here right now. So at your respective bouts, bout 1 or bout 2, will be the first opportunity for you to physically sign these documents. Poets will be asked to sign a sheet that is an indication that they have read, understood, and acknowledge the Code of Honor and the Slam Team Agreement. So you'll see those in physical person at each bout at the semifinals. Now, of course, we're going to get you those documents well in advance for you to look at. I'll be addressing, sending messages to each one of you on Facebook, each one of you semifinal contestants. And I'll be just sending a little personal message saying hey and all the best of luck in semifinals. And I'll be attaching the Code of Honor and the Slam Team Agreement along with that for you to look at. They will also be made public, and actually we're going to hold off on doing that yet because we're still going to make some amendments, we being the Winnipeg Poetry Project organization, so the board members, and I'll put some input there. And if you guys have any input on the Code of Honor or Slam Team Agreement, please contribute to that discussion because it's really important and really at the core. It's a document that's brings forth our values, and that's something that we want to promote in the community. So we'll be making some amendments from the documents that we had from last year to sort of update and apply the things that we've learned and are learning, and with the intention to move forward and to build on these sort of values and things like that. Okay. And I guess the Slam Team Agreement, let's talk about that a bit. It's an outline of various expectations and obligations of being a Slam Team member. Like, for example, agreeing to abide by Slam competition rules, both locally and at CFSW, and they're pretty much the same rules. They structure competitions a little bit differently than we do, but you'll get to learn all about that in the future. Maintaining safe space, helping to raise funds for traveling to CFSW. So any fundraising activities, take full part in them. Put on some shows, raise some money for yourself to help you get to Saskatoon. Now, we have the advantage of being pretty close neighbors to Saskatoon, so things are looking good to have funds be provided for Slam team members to travel and be accommodated and to take part in the festival. But it takes a little bit of effort on everyone's part, everyone involved, to sort of make everyone comfortable in their travels and accommodations. So yeah, take part, come out, slam, and put on some shows. It'll be fun. Oh yeah, of course you as a team you'll want to meet up for discussions, for workshops, for team practices throughout the summer as CFSW takes place in the fall, and to work together. I guess is sort of it. Work together, have fun, to ensure that these things can happen, and in the event that something not fun happens, that certain things might have to take place to resolve these conflicts, whatever that may be. And in the case of a conflict happening, aside from the input of the Slam team members, community organizers who are not on the Slam team and are in a good neutral space to sort of look at whatever issues might arise and discuss, we'll all collaborate on a solution together. We're trying to work it out. The idea is that you've been there, you want to go to CFSW, you've put in the work, and we want to see you there. We want to resolve any conflict to make everything okay for that to happen. If for some reason that a team member, if you've made the team and even after practicing, for some reason you can't make it to CFSW, we'll try to honor your position there as best we can. But if you can't go, that spot will be open on the team. So the next person down the list of rankings will fill your spot. So there will be a team that goes to CFSW, and everyone in semifinals, I know, has a chance to be there and has a voice to contribute. So everyone will be covered. I should make it clear that if you don't, for whatever reason, if you don't want to sign this Slam team agreement, this Code of Honor contract, that it doesn't mean that you can't compete and perform and share your work at semifinals and finals if you make it that far. That just means that these documents apply specifically to the membership of the Slam team. Okay, so you're free to compete, you're free to perform. You're not being pushed out in any way. But it is essential to be on the team. So if you're being a part of the 4 people that will be the Winnipeg Poetry Slam team, we want to make sure that everyone does agree to work together and to make the best time possible for everyone involved. Like I said, myself and other organizers will be collaborating to make amendments to last year's code to update it for this year's playoffs. Of course, you guys are welcome to discuss anything that you have in terms of concerns or questions along those lines. The last opportunity you'll have to sign the Slam Team Agreement and the Code of Honor is right before finals start. So at the venue, before we start drawing names, before the sacrificial poet goes on, before the host even takes the stage. That'll be the last time, last chance for this season you'll be able to sign that. But up until then, between the time that we distribute the codes and the agreement to you, you're open to sign it in physical person, probably with me there with like a clipboard and like a sign up sheet, that sort of thing. I think that covers that stuff. Anything that happens will be discussed at a case-by-case basis, and reiterate to you that any conflict resolution will take place with the involvement of team members and board members alike, a full panel, rather than a single individual. And that's definitely something we've learned from last year, to involve as many voices and people as possible to sort of resolve those conflicts. Oh yes, to talk about in the past, what constitutes a slam team. So after finals, the top 4 poets at the end of finals will be on the Winnipeg Poetry Slam team. 1, 2, 3, 4. In the past, we've had 5 people, and that sort of was a structural thing where there's 4 people who constitute the team, and then there's 1 alternate who is present, who at the practices and learning the material as best they can and contributing as much as they can. In the event that a slam team member can't make it, that the alternate will be able to take their place. And also there was some other activities and performances and things like that the alternate was able to take part of at CFSW. You can ask more about that, what the alternate was. Now actually they've Spokane and CFSW has eliminated the alternate position, so that cities, each slam community, has the opportunity to send 4 or 5 people without having an alternate. So everyone is a full member of the team. Now, here in Winnipeg, we've chosen to go with 4 members, and the reason for that being is that it's much easier to send 4 people than 5. So the idea is that everyone will get the full potential of our fundraising capacity. So if there's money that we got to make together, and the slam team will get that money, they'll go to CFSW to have a comfortable stay while they compete and represent our city, and it's just a little bit easier that way. We have the advantage again of being close to Saskatoon, but that's, if we can talk about that too. Okay, now I think that just about covers everything. Stay tuned to further updates. Post your comments here on Facebook, and otherwise be in touch with the organizers and everything like that. Now, all that stuff's out of the way. Let's get to what everyone's really here to see, and that's the Bout draw. So I'm going to be drawing from a pool of 16 names, and I'll read these names off as well because I want to send a congratulations to everyone. From this pool of 16 names, I will be drawing the first 8 names. The first 8 will be competing at the semifinal bout number 1, featuring Joshua Whitehead, who's an excellent local poet. He's a up-and-coming rock star poet. He's gonna be doing something pretty big pretty soon, I think, you guys. First 8 poets will be competing there. The latter 8 poets, I'll be just reading them out loud because it's going to be in no particular order in terms of where you fall within the bout, because your name will be drawn at random at the bout. Second group of poets will be competing on the 20th at the Handsome Daughter, featuring Sabrina from Toronto, who was on the national team, and Toronto won nationals last year for a damn good reason, because they're a talented group of poets, and Sabrina is no exception to that. And she's got some wonderful videos on YouTube. You should check her out. And be sure to check her out in person, that's for sure. So, I want to extend my personal congratulations to these 16 poets who, in no particular order, are your semi-final poets for 2015. So, you can imagine applause in the background and sound effects and hooting and hollering for Kimmy Z, for Larissa Music, Shelley, Noelle, Tharuna, Paul DeBrune, Van, Courtney Stevens, Mike Johnston, Joanne Shapansky, Rob Melo, Derek, Matt Moskal, Mason, Amber O'Reilly, and Julia Flora. Congratulations, you guys. Thank you for your poetry this year. For everyone who came out to compete, who came out to participate in the poetry slams, thank you for all your contributions. Now, let's get to the draw. First 8 names I draw, Bout 1, and I'll read off the latter 8 Bout 2. All right, here we go. Okay. Mix and bowl. Making some stuff here. Okay, first name. Shelly. Shelly's in Bout 1. Number 2. Paul de Bruin. Okay. Julia Florek. Matt Moskal. Joanne Shapansky. Van. Rob Melo. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. One more for Bout 8. I'm sure you were keeping score. And Larissa Music. So, Joanne, Paul, Julia, Rob, Larissa, Shelly, Matt, and Van, you'll all be competing in bout number 1, May 13th at the Handsome Daughter, which leaves, again in no particular order here, for bout number 2, takes place on the 20th at the Handsome Daughter, Amber O'Reilly, Derek, Noelle, Kimmy Z, Tharuna, Courtney Stevens, Mason, and Mike Johnston. So you guys will be taking part in the semifinal competition, bout number 2 on the 20th. Okay, we'll be posting those names in text on the Winnipeg Poetry Slam, Winnipeg Poetry Project channels, and we'll be getting out all that information to you on the Slam Team Agreement, the Code of Honor. Hopefully I'm not forgetting anything else, but in case I did, feel free to ask questions, and we're all happy to talk about what's going on. So, thank you again, everyone, for the season. I'm looking forward to semifinals and finals. We've got some great shows. Oh, yeah. We'll talk more about what's going on for finals soon. All right. Have a good night, guys. We'll see you soon.